Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as a result of this arc, whether it's shown at the end of this arc or in future arcs, but as a result of the Toadland arc, which is a part of the greater overall versus Yonko saga, Sanji is going to attain a power-up. Sanji will experience an increase in combat prowess. You have Sanji, who is a part of the Vinsmoke family, and the Vinsmoke family, they have been, for the most part, genetically manipulated to be superhuman. And how this came to be is, of course, because of the manipulation of the lineage factors that exist within them via Judge and his scientists. However, during the pregnancy, their mother Sola took a drug to try and counteract the manipulation of the lineage factors. And this drug, we now find out in the latest chapter of One Piece, chapter 852, is probably the reason why Sanji is such a kind person. And also probably the reason why Sanji didn't manifest the same superhuman traits that his siblings did. We don't know if the drug that Sola took completely negated manipulation of the lineage factors, if it stalled them, so like they're still coming for Sanji, or is it the drug itself gave Sanji something entirely new? There are various things that we're unaware of specifically, and as far as we can tell, for the time being, it negated the lineage factor manipulation, which is why Sanji wound up being far more human, quote unquote, far more human than his brothers. As a result, he attained emotions and kindness, whereas his three brothers did not. And this is a little bit shaky of itself because Niji, Ichiji, Yonji, well, Niji and Yoji, they have showcased anger. That is an emotion. For example, when they were kids and Judge would praise Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji and Reiju for their success in showcasing their feats, they'd be happy because their father was pleased. So they have emotions, but when it comes to Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, especially Niji, it appears that they lack empathy and sympathy. So if Sanji is not going to attain a power via those means, via potentially getting future innate body enhancements because of the manipulation of his lineage factors, then the power was going to come in the form of his fire. The fire. Now, if you don't remember how things worked previously when it came to Sanji, but of course you do. Sanji, pre-time skip, in order to use the devil leg, he had to spin around in order to create friction, and then the heat would transfer throughout the foot, up his ankle, up his shin, and then voila, you have the devil leg. Post-time skip, Sanji no longer needs to spin. Now Sanji can do that instantaneously. The leg just goes on fire. In some cases, both legs go on fire. And on top of that, Sanji showcases a technique called Hell's Memories. All he does is simply remember what happened with his training during the time skip. And I think that, in all honesty, that is a component of his haki. I said before in a video like 3 or 4 years ago, and I still believe that to this day. Sanji's fire is a result of his haki, and that is a culmination of two things. Number one, his soul, and number two, his mindset, specifically his rage. Now, given all the stuff that we've seen throughout the entirety of this arc, how he's had to relive these traumatic memories when he was a child.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
How he tried to not get his friends involved in his mess by going out on his own, as usual, because Sanji does tend to do that. He tends to go off on his own sometimes and do X, Y, and Z. And in this case, he went off on his own to try and handle his own business with Big Mom, with his family and whatnot. His friends came to go and see him. They caused a stir, and now they're in prison. They're at risk of losing their lives. And now Sanji tried to save them via wholeheartedly accepting marrying Pudding and making a deal with Big Mom, talking to Big Mom about, you know, making sure that Luffy and company, when he officially married Pudding, they'd be sent off the island alive. And that all failed. So Sanji, not only reliving a lot of traumatic shit, but also going through a lot of traumatic bullshit. So Sanji can utilize these traumas as a means of fuel to the fire. This arc, in a sense, is a massive barrel of oil for the great blaze that will become Sanji's increased power. The way I see it here is that when I look at the devil leg kind of goes through certain transformation. Pre-time skip, it was a yellowish, reddish leg that we saw. It required friction to utilize. And then post-time skip, again, he can do it instantaneously, but also we can see the leg itself get like a star thing to it as well. Almost like Kizaru's thing, where it has like a star shape to it. And ultimately, I think that the end result here is going to be something that is akin to Red Leg Zeph. Like his suit will go red because of his anger. We've already seen his body do so when he gets really pissed off. That could be an effect of Haki. That could be an effect of the drug itself. And understand here is that this could also be something that Sanji could utilize in the future. It's a mindset thing. If he can maybe remove the kindness temporarily from his mind, and for a short time be in a state like his brothers where they lack empathy and sympathy, that may also be a part of him attaining greater power as well. So ultimately, the power-up, odds are, is going to be through the means of the fire, through the means of Sanji experiencing more traumatic stuff, therefore more fuel for his fire, therefore the greater blaze, and so on and so forth. Sanji is going to attain a power-up at least along those lines, potentially along the lines of his siblings as well. I do want to highlight something else in greater detail here when it comes to Sola and the drug that she took, when it comes to the lineage factors being manipulated, when it comes to the kindness that Sanji has and why he's a very kind person and quote-unquote kinder than anybody. Now, according to Reiju, he has these traces of emotion within him as a result of the drug that Sola took. That is what appears to be the case. You have to wonder, okay, since Sanji is a very kind person according to Brook, and according to Reiju, kinder than anybody, is it simply that he had attained kindness due to the lineage factors being negated, or is it that his kindness is now amplified because of the drug that Sola took when the kids were in her womb? And so if that's the case, if it's amplification of emotion, then the kindness would be, let's say, one half of the coin, and then the second half of the coin on the opposite side would be anger. So let's say that his fire is a result of his soul, and in this case, soul in One Piece seems to be very similar to life force. So if that's the case, then his amplified emotions, kindness, and on the other side of the coin, anger, would also affect his Haki. And the result of that would be fire, his rage. The drug is also the reason why his Haki, potentially speaking, if it is Haki, is the way it is when he emits the fire. By simply thinking about something that makes him mad, his leg could just ignite. So the drug could be the core reason that exists as well. But again, that's assuming that the drug wasn't just simply a negation of lineage factors, but more so it was an amplification of emotion that normally exists within human beings. If we also take this another way, but going down the same lines here, because the drug itself was a drug that seems to have manipulated the lineage factors specifically of empathy and sympathy, which we know that Niji, Ichiji, and Yonji lack, the reason why I say Sanji could maybe forego his kindness, forego sympathy and empathy, is because that is Sanji's base state, potentially speaking. From his base state, his lineage factors were already manipulated. So in this case, the drug that Sola took didn't necessarily negate the lineage factor manipulations, but it masked them. They still reside within Sanji. So if Sanji could change his mental state to where he can forego kindness, I mean, maybe that's the reason why he's so angry in the first place. Him being so angry in certain situations, maybe him returning somewhat to his original base state. When you read chapter 840, it is stated by one of the scientists under Germa, on paper, all 4 of their genes were in fact successfully modified, but for some inexplicable reason, he is the only one whose attributes and measurables have remained almost constant from the moment of his birth. So if Sanji's mindset because that is what was basically manipulated when they were in the womb via Germa, via also Sola by taking that drug. If Sanji could change his said mindset, he may be able to grasp some part of his base state if the drug didn't completely negate the modification. So that's the reason why when it comes to that whole spectrum of potential power increase, so many things are up in the wind because we just really don't know the ins and outs as to how this drug reacted to the modification that Germa did upon the Vinsmoke kids, specifically Sanji, which is why I'll just stick with the fire. That being said, I am done. Give me your thoughts on the matter at hand. It's gonna happen. Whether it happens at the end of this arc or whether it happens in future arcs, it's gonna happen. It's going to happen, specifically as a result of this arc. Once again, let me know your thoughts on the matter at hand. King Lightning, rate the video, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace. Have a nice goddamn day.